The funeral was over. The dirt had barely settled on Harold's casket when she looked at me like I was a broken chair in a room she no longer used. We were alone in the parking lot. Black umbrellas, gray sky, silence. She didn't cry. Instead, she lit a cigarette with hands that didn't shake and said, "I want a divorce." Just like that. No hesitation, no drama, as if she'd rehearsed it in front of a mirror 1,000 times. I blinked. Once. Not because I was shocked, but because I expected it. She didn't love me anymore. Hadn't in years. I was a placeholder, a bridge. Still, I asked, why? She exhaled, smoke curling around her words. "You're useless to me now." I laughed. Not the kind of laugh that comes from joy, the kind that rattles up from somewhere deep and dead. "Don't regret this later," I said quietly. Then I walked to the car, put on my sunglasses, and never once looked back at her. 3 days later, I found out she inherited $379 million. The numbers made sense in my head. The pieces locked in like gears in an old watch. Of course. Harold always hated me. He didn't say it, but he didn't have to. The way he looked at me, like I was standing in the way of something better. His daughter was a princess in his eyes, and I was just the help who overstayed his welcome. No career, no legacy, no ambition by their standards. I loved her. She tolerated me. And now that the old man was 6 feet under, she didn't need to pretend anymore. I spent the night in my apartment. Bare mattress, cardboard boxes, stale silence. She'd already changed the locks at the house we shared for 7 years. There was no message, no phone call, just silence and shadows. I stared at the ceiling. Not angry, not hurt, just awake. She traded me for freedom. Freedom came wrapped in a checkbook and court papers. I didn't get mad. I got curious. The will, the way she moved so quickly, the timing, none of it felt right. You don't just inherit $379 million without stipulations. Harold was a control freak. He wouldn't leave a penny without strings. So I called his lawyer. Samuel Firth. Old money, polished smile, eyes like chipped stone. "Sorry," he said, "the contents of the will are sealed for beneficiaries only." Fair enough. So I waited. Not like a man hoping for a second chance. Like a man watching the spider spin just one thread too many. I started collecting. Emails, messages, statements. Her spending had already begun. New accounts, quiet transfers, real estate feelers. She'd barely signed the divorce before she moved on to yachts and lawyers. But it was the conversation with her sister that broke the rhythm. I found it by accident. Voice memo on her old iPad she forgot to wipe. "He doesn't know. Dad made it sound like she'd get everything, but there's something else." Her sister sounded nervous. She always did when she was lying. I replayed the recording 12 times, then once more for the silence between the words. Samuel called me a week later. His tone had changed. "Come to the office," he said. "Bring nothing, say nothing." I did. I sat in the corner like furniture. She was already there, legs crossed, nails blood red. When the new will was read, she smiled like a wolf in silk. Then Samuel coughed, just once, and his eyes flicked toward me. "Before we proceed," he said, placing a document on the table, "have you read the will carefully, Mrs. Langford?" She blinked. Something shifted. He turned the page with gloved fingers. "Because there's a clause. Harold's final amendment, added a month before his death. Your husband, if still married to you at the time of your inheritance, becomes sole executor of the trust." Silence. Absolute, surgical silence. "What?" she whispered. He didn't answer. She snatched the paper, her hands trembling for the first time. I didn't move, didn't smile, just watched the color drain from her face like melting wax. Outside, I followed her to the parking lot. She spun around. "He didn't tell me. This isn't. He knew." I raised a hand. You filed the divorce. 2 days too soon. She froze. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Just breathing, hard, shallow. You thought you buried me with him, I said, stepping closer, but Harold was crueler than you. You tricked me. No, I said coldly, you underestimated me. She turned, rage swelling behind her eyes, tears finally threatening to spill. But I was already walking away, back to my car, back to silence. The will was clear. She inherited nothing. I, the man she called useless, now controlled every penny. I never returned her calls, never answered the emails, never acknowledged the letters begging for a conversation. I donated $50 million to women's shelters under her maiden name, left her with the headlines. She still lives in the rented condo she bought the day after the divorce, the one she paid for with a check that bounced. Me? I live quietly. No yachts, no photos. Just peace. Because power isn't what you hold. It's what you let go of when they're begging you to come back. She regrets it now, but regret is useless to me.